Like, who is this guy?
Bam, 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 bam. It's like, why? I only threw one ball. What? Yeah. Hello and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always have something to say about the Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Palelog. Today, we're going to be breaking down Randal Grichuk, a player who has been, for the most part this year, a staple and pretty solid in our lineup. Before we get into that, though, please make sure to like and subscribe and ring the little bell so you get notifications whenever we post our stuff. All right, Randal Grichuk. He is currently for this year anyways, second highest paid J, although will be next year the third highest paid J. So definitely a big player. Yeah. For us.
Yeah, we signed this guy to it was like a 5-year deal for like $50-odd million. And you know what? At the time, it looked like something like, oh, okay, I guess we have to sign someone. Our team's pretty dead.
Yeah, he averages, just to let you guys know, he averages $10.4 million per year. This year, he's making $13 million. That will go down slightly because it's a little bit front-loaded, but it's not going to go down too much. So this year he is the second highest paid J. Next year he'll be the third highest paid J behind Hyun-Jin Ryu and Tanner Roark.
Yeah, so let's talk about what he's done this year so far.
Sure.
This year, in 165 at-bats, Randal Grichuk, for everyone's information, has a slash line of 273, on base of 316, and a slugging of 485. So honestly, really good. And if you guys were watching the games, he was hitting in that 2 spot, and he was hitting well in that 2 spot. And now he's kind of gone into a little bit of a down slump. He kind of...
September hasn't been kind of Randal Grichuk. For the month of September, and granted, so we're about halfway through September. It's September 14th when we're filming this video. He's been hitting 213 in September with not a lot of pop either. So he's not really... He's not producing at what he was doing in the month of August, where in August he was hitting 287. Which I guess was pretty much the entire season.
So, basically.
Yeah, up until this point.
And Nick, I know we've talked about this, and what is the reason why he hits so well and the reason why he is kind of falling off right now?
Well,
what do you think it is?
Well, okay, Randal Grichuk, when you look at his career metrics, his career numbers, he's always been a guy who can hit the ball really hard, who barrels it, way above MLB average, but who also strikes out a lot and doesn't, he doesn't take a lot of walks either. He doesn't wait on his pitches quite often. He swings a lot and will get power from it, but sometimes not.
I want to talk about those strikeouts though, because I knew he was a strikeout guy, especially when we first got him, but he actually is starting to round into a decent average hitter when it comes to the strikeouts.
This year.
And a little bit last year, too. So the league average is 21.8% in strikeouts. In 2019, he's a bit above that at 25.8%. Now, however, in this year, he's really dropped that down to 22%. Basically, league average. And I believe it has to have come from that approach that he's taking. I believe his approach has affected his game a lot, and you can literally see it when he's on that approach and when he's not on. There's 2 different Randal Grichuks. One that actually knows what he's doing at the plate, and the other one that's trying to force and trying to reach for the ball.
I agree with you, and I think that in the month of September, Grichuk has regressed back to his older ways, if you will.
I would agree, yeah.
He's not seeing the ball nearly as good as he was, and he's not being as patient as he was when he was, really there were some games where Randal Grichuk was, pretty much leading us to victory,
walking off games for us,
and that's not happening right now. I want to look at some of his career numbers and talk about because this year he's hitting 273, which I think is very respectable. But over the course of his career, he hasn't been a 270 hitter. He's been his career average is 246. That's all. That's in 2,466 at bats. So definitely a long time spent in the league, enough to kind of get a sense of who this guy is. He's got an on-base percentage of 295 and a slugging of 483. And the slugging is what's really interesting to me because that's a pretty solid slugging, and it's actually pretty much the exact same as his 2020 stats.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually pretty happy about because so far this year he's been able to marry his slugging with his contact.
Yeah.
He is not doing that right now, however, in the last 14 days.
But in general this season, right? We can look at the sample size he's produced for us, and I'm very impressed with what he's done in terms of changing everything around. I like that you said he's marrying his contact because before all he was a home run or nothing kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And his home runs in 2019, he hit a career high of 31. And he's just been increasingly going up and up and up. Mm-hmm. And I was checking because obviously this is a different season, seeing what kind of pace would he be at right now. And last year he had about 18.9 home runs per at bat. And this year he has 18.3 home runs per at bat, so around the same. So it's kind of cool that he's not only still hitting the bombs, but he's also creating the contact.
Wait, 18.3 home runs per at bat?
Sorry, 18.3 at bats per home run. My bad.
I was 18, holy mother of God! Who is this guy?
Bam. It's wow, I only threw one ball.
Yeah.
But he is around the same at bats per home run as he was last year, and now he's got the average. So that kind of answers that. Where it's what. His game is improving, and he's slowly improving. And what's he right now? 20? How old is he?
29. He's 29.
He's okay. He's coming into some sort of a development stage. Now, Nick, do you think that this could continue in the future for the Jays?
I honestly I don't know, man. I think that the key figure for me is that he's hitting 273, but it's in 165 at bats. Mm-hmm. That's not really a lot at all when you think about it. I think that a lot is going to depend on how he finishes out this season. If he continues down this downward trajectory that we're seeing in September, then he's probably going to finish the year right around where his career averages are. I don't want that for him. I'm hoping that he can stick around this. If he can stick around 270, I'd be very happy for Randal Grichuk because I think that would be a great stepping stone for him in his career.
Yeah. He's got a I remember that whole time about approach. Mm-hmm. Buck Martinez couldn't stop talking to Raven about Randal Grichuk's approach. So I took a look at his swing profile, right? And wanted to see swing take profile. So this is the profile which where the pitches are given to you and whether you're swinging or taking and how much runs is that generating for your team. Last year in 2019, on the edges of the strike zone, so where the pitchers are, and this is where every batter is going to lose runs because that's where pitchers beat you on the edges. He actually lost those 29 runs last year, which is a lot on the edges, leading up to a total of negative 7 run value. Whereas this year, he's only letting up negative 3 runs, but overall, with his approach, he's actually generating 6+ runs. So he already, in a short sample size, is producing more runs than he did in the entire, way more than he all did last year. So his approach is working out for him in the overall of his game so far. So I think he's just got to keep doing what he's doing and remember his approach. And when he gets back in those 2-3 week slumps, he's got to remember because he keeps going back to his old ways and he needs to stay within himself and hit the ball the other way.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, I don't have too much faith in Randal Grichuk. I think that when I look at his career numbers and I've seen his years in the league, I think they speak to the type of hitter that he is, and I think that Randal Grichuk is the epitome of an average MLB player when you look at his metrics. This season so far has been above average, large in part. And that's why I'm saying, if he can finish this out, I'd be very happy with Randal Grichuk, and I think coming into next year, I would look at him as a different player than how I currently view him.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's for me it's seeing that the problems are still there. They're not completely gone yet, and that's okay. It'll come with time. But we make it make it happen quickly.
Yeah.
Don't revert back to what you were doing your whole career.
Yeah, you got 3 more seasons of contract to try and figure it out.
Yeah,
Randal
exactly.
Grichuk.
And you know what? I do want to talk about the contract a little bit. You know, I think that, like, because I was looking at some other players that are in and around this mark of money, basically. You know, it's hard to tell because, like, they're all, like, this is just for this year, you know, and it's like Christian Yelich right now is making 12.5, like, literally less than Randal Grichuk. You know, when you put that in perspective, it's like, what are we doing?
Just because this year's that 13 million.
Exactly.
Right.
So, you know, I think that Grichuk lucked out a little bit on his contract. I think that if we were to sign him right now, I would want it for maybe like $3 million less per year, somewhere in that $7 million range or something.
Yeah, it'd be hard to get someone who's 29 to sign a really small contract.
Exactly.
You know?
That is the thing. You know, I think that Randal Grichuk, when he signed his contract, we were in that place of like, we have no one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and he was one of our best hitters in, you know, like his kind of
we sold everyone and we got Randal Grichuk.
You have to get someone, and we stuck with Grichuk, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if he can continue with these numbers, then I would be very happy with where his contract is situated.
Absolutely.
I don't want him to revert back to his 240 ways though and be the third highest payer on the Blue Jays.
No, I think if he can somehow take whatever he's learned this year and apply it next season, and then continue that for the rest of his contract, I'd be more than happy to have that. I believe he's a good middle of the order, 4 to 6 kind of guy, depending on how hot he is, type of hitter for the Blue Jays, surrounded by all these young guys. So I think he could fit well if he can continue his 273 average with that on pace of like 31 home runs.
Yeah, no, I like to see Randal Grichuk, like, and especially when we are competing for a, you know, title, basically. I'd want to be seeing him in and around that 6 spot.
Yeah.
And I think that at that 6th spot, with his barrel percentage, which has always been, like his barrel percentage has always been over his career roughly double what the MLB average is. So he's very good at barreling the ball and creating, you know, hard hit doubles and home runs to generate runs. That's great. And in the 6th spot, I'm super happy with that, even if your average is a bit lower than other guys.
Yeah, 260. I'd be happy with 260.
I'd be very happy with 260. That'd be great.
260, 30 home runs, and 90 RBIs from the 6th spot in the full season. I'll take that.
I will definitely take that. Guys, let us know what you think about Randal Grichuk in the comments down below. You know, this guy, we're going to have him for, you know, several years. So, like, do you think that he's going to continue the pace that he's had this year, or will he revert back to his old career ways? Please let us know.
And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification button on YouTube, and follow us on our Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Radio Public, and Breaker. Wait, did I say Breaker twice?
I think you're missing, did you say Google Podcast?
Google Podcasts, yeah. Oh, I said enough.
Yeah. We have other platforms. Check them out.
And Instagram.
Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays go.